The Galactic Coalition had faced countless civilizations over the past 10,000 years. Some were primitive. Some were advanced. A few were even dangerous. But none of them were humans. At least, not until recently. In the massive command chamber of the Coalition warship Aegis Prime, dozens of alien officers watched the holographic projection hovering above the center table. Stars glowed softly in the dark room, representing the territories of hundreds of species spread across the Orion arm of the galaxy. At the far edge of the map was a small blue marker. To most members of the Coalition, the human homeworld was little more than a curiosity, an insignificant planet orbiting an average yellow star. But things had changed, and the silence in the command chamber made that very clear. Commander Velrith stood at the center of the room, his long silver crest trembling slightly as he studied the incoming transmission. Velrith belonged to the Archon Dominion, a species known for their cold logic and ruthless efficiency. His people had conquered 3 star systems before joining the Coalition. Fear was not something Velrith experienced often. Yet now, he felt it creeping into his mind. Behind him, a junior communications officer hesitated before speaking. "Commander, we've received confirmation." Velrith slowly turned. "Confirmation of what?" The officer swallowed. "The humans have responded." A ripple of unease moved through the chamber. Several alien officers exchanged nervous glances. For weeks, the Coalition had been debating how to deal with humanity's sudden appearance on the galactic stage. Their technology was unusual. Their behavior was unpredictable. And their military, well, no one had expected it. Velrith folded his arms. "Display the message." The hologram shifted. A new image appeared above the command table. It showed a single human seated in what appeared to be a modest control room. He wore a dark uniform, and behind him hung the blue and white flag of Earth. His expression was calm. Too calm. The transmission began to play. "Greetings, Galactic Coalition," the human said. His voice was steady, almost polite. "My name is Admiral Daniel Hayes of the United Earth Defense Fleet." Velrith leaned closer. The room remained silent. "We received your message," Hayes continued. "And we understand your concerns." Behind the human, faint outlines of massive starships could be seen through the viewport. Warships. A lot of them. Velrith felt his crest stiffen. The Coalition had sent humanity a warning 2 days earlier. Technically, it had been an ultimatum. Humanity had been told to cease expanding beyond their home system and submit to Coalition oversight. It was standard procedure. Every new civilization entering interstellar space had to follow the rules. Most complied. Some resisted briefly before realizing the Coalition's military power was overwhelming. No species had ever refused outright. Until now. The human admiral continued speaking. "We believe there has been a misunderstanding." The camera shifted slightly, revealing something else outside the window. Hundreds of ships. Velrith's eyes widened. Coalition intelligence had estimated the human fleet to be around 30 vessels. What they were seeing now was far more. Hayes folded his hands calmly. "You see," he said, "we're not interested in submitting to anyone." Murmurs spread through the command chamber. The human continued. "We are willing to cooperate, trade, share knowledge, explore together." He paused. "But we will not be controlled." Velrith's second-in-command whispered quietly. "This is unprecedented." The human admiral's eyes hardened slightly. "And since your message included several threats, we felt it necessary to respond clearly." Behind him, the human fleet shifted formation. Thousands of lights ignited across the darkness of space. Weapons. Velrith suddenly realized something terrifying. Those weren't just warships. They were battle groups. Entire armadas. Hayes leaned slightly closer to the camera. "So let me be very clear." The room seemed to grow colder. "If the Coalition chooses war, humanity will respond." He paused, then added quietly. "And trust me, this won't end well." The transmission ended. The hologram vanished. Silence filled the chamber. For several long seconds no one spoke. Finally Velrith exhaled slowly. "How many ships did we count?" The tactical officer hesitated. Commander, our sensors detected approximately 3,000 vessels. Shock spread across the room. That's impossible, someone whispered. Humanity only achieved faster-than-light travel 8 years ago. Velrith stared at the empty hologram space. Clearly, he said quietly, our intelligence was incomplete. Another officer stepped forward. Commander, Coalition High Command is requesting your assessment. Velrith thought for a moment, then spoke 4 words that would soon echo across the galaxy. The humans are mobilizing. He paused. And they are not afraid. The communications officer looked uneasy. Commander, should we prepare a response? Velrith slowly turned toward the star map. Earth's small blue marker glowed softly among the stars. For the first time in his long military career, Velrith felt uncertain. Finally he said quietly, yes. The officer waited. Velrith's voice became grim. Send this message to Coalition Command. He paused, then spoke the words that would soon spread across every Coalition fleet. Commander, the humans are responding. He looked back at the tactical reports. Thousands of ships, unknown technology, and a species that refused to bow to anyone. Velrith's crest slowly lowered. This won't end well. Part 2, the war the galaxy didn't expect. The message from Admiral Hayes spread through the Galactic Coalition faster than any military report in recent history. Within hours, every major government across Coalition space had seen the recording, and none of them liked what they saw. 3,000 ships. For a species that had only recently discovered faster-than-light travel, the number was absurd. Some leaders believed it was a bluff. Others believed the humans had somehow hidden their military development. But Commander Velrith was not convinced it was that simple. Inside the command center of Aegis Prime, tactical projections filled the air like glowing constellations. Human fleets had begun moving. Not aggressively. Not recklessly. But with terrifying precision. Velrith studied the data with growing unease. They're spreading out, his tactical officer said. Into attack positions? The officer shook his head. No, defensive. That confused Velrith. Explain. The hologram zoomed in on the Sol system. Multiple human fleets were forming layered defensive rings around their territory. Minefields. Defense platforms. Carrier groups. Even massive orbital cannons. Velrith frowned. They're preparing for an invasion. His second-in-command spoke quietly. They think we're coming for them. Velrith didn't answer. Because the truth was, the Coalition was coming. 2 hours earlier, Coalition High Command had issued its decision. Humanity had refused to comply with Coalition authority. That made them a rogue civilization. And rogue civilizations were not allowed to exist. 3 Coalition fleets were already mobilizing. Together they consisted of nearly 8,000 warships. Enough to overwhelm most known empires. Velrith received the official order moments later. A red notification appeared across his command display. Commander Velrith, you are ordered to lead the first Coalition strike group. He read the message twice, then sighed. This is going to be a disaster, he muttered. His second-in-command looked confused. Commander? Velrith pointed at the hologram. Look at their formations. The officer leaned closer. What about them? Velrith's voice was quiet. They're not panicking. Indeed, the human fleets were calm, organized, disciplined. Almost as if they had expected this war long before the Coalition had. Velrith slowly folded his arms. That means they've been preparing. Outside the warship's viewport, thousands of Coalition vessels began exiting hyperspace. Cruisers, destroyers, carrier ships. A fleet powerful enough to crush most civilizations. And yet, Velrith felt like they were walking into something dangerous. Commander, the communications officer said nervously. We're receiving a new transmission. Velrith's eyes narrowed. From the humans? Yes. Display it. The hologram flickered on. Admiral Hayes appeared again. This time he looked tired, but determined. I was hoping we wouldn't have to do this, he said calmly. Behind him, alarms could be heard faintly. Human crews were preparing for battle. Hayes continued. Coalition fleets have entered our territory. He paused. We are asking one last time. The human leaned forward slightly. Turn back. The command chamber erupted into quiet murmurs. Velrith watched silently. Hayes continued speaking. We don't want this war. Then his expression hardened. But we will finish it if we have to. The transmission ended. Velrith stared at the empty projection. His tactical officer spoke carefully. Commander, our fleets will arrive at the outer human defenses in 3 hours. Velrith nodded slowly. Then prepare the fleet. He looked around the command chamber. Because if those humans mean what they say. He paused. This is going to be one hell of a fight. Part 3, the battle that terrified the Coalition. The battle began exactly 3 hours later. Coalition fleets emerged from hyperspace near the edge of human territory. What they saw stunned them. The humans had turned their entire system into a fortress. Thousands of automated defense platforms floated between the stars like silent guardians. Massive railgun arrays tracked incoming ships. Carrier groups launched swarms of fighters. Velrith watched the tactical screen with growing disbelief. They built all of this in 8 years? His engineer shook his head slowly. That should be impossible. Velrith gave the order. Advance the fleet. Coalition warships surged forward. Energy weapons lit up the darkness of space. Missiles streaked toward human defenses. For a moment, it seemed like the Coalition's overwhelming numbers would break through. Then the humans responded. And everything changed. Massive human battleships moved forward from behind the defense grid. Their hulls were dark, angular, intimidating. But what truly shocked the Coalition was their weapons. The first human battleship fired a rail cannon. The projectile crossed thousands of kilometers in less than a second. A Coalition cruiser vanished in a flash of shattered metal. Velrith's eyes widened. What in the stars was that? Magnetic acceleration weapon, the tactical officer said nervously. Velocity estimate, 30,000 kilometers per second. Another human ship fired. Then another. Coalition vessels began exploding across the battlefield. Human fighters swarmed enemy ships with terrifying coordination. But the most frightening thing wasn't their weapons. It was their strategy. The humans fought differently. They sacrificed ships to lure enemies into traps. They predicted Coalition movements with frightening accuracy. It was like fighting a species that had spent centuries mastering war. Velrith suddenly realized something. Commander, the tactical officer shouted. They're surrounding us. Human fleets had slipped behind Coalition lines. Within minutes, the massive Coalition armada found itself trapped between multiple human battle groups. Velrith stared at the tactical map in disbelief. How did they move that fast? Then the answer appeared. Human ships began activating strange glowing drives. And suddenly, they jumped. Short-range hyperspace jumps. Right inside the battlefield. Velrith's voice became quiet. They can reposition instantly. Coalition formations collapsed. Ships collided. Command signals jammed. Meanwhile, human fleets moved like hunters closing in on wounded prey. Within 40 minutes, the Coalition had lost 2,000 ships. Velrith clenched his claws. Signal retreat. But it was too late. Human fleets had already sealed the escape routes. Admiral Hayes appeared on the command screen again. His expression was calm. Commander Velrith. Velrith glared at the screen. You planned this. Hayes nodded. We studied your Coalition for years. Velrith froze. Years? Hayes smiled faintly. You thought humanity only joined the galaxy 8 years ago. The Admiral leaned forward. We've been listening much longer than that. Velrith felt a chill run through him. You were preparing for war before we even knew you existed. Hayes didn't deny it. We learned something important from our own history. Velrith whispered. What? The human's voice became cold. If you want peace. He paused. You prepare for war. Part 4. The lesson the galaxy learned. The battle lasted 4 more hours. By the time it ended, the Coalition fleet was shattered. Thousands of ships floated silently in the wreckage field. Commander Velrith stood in his damaged command chamber watching the aftermath. Human ships surrounded what remained of his fleet. But they did not fire. They waited. Admiral Hayes appeared one final time. "This war is over, Commander." Velrith looked exhausted. "You could destroy us." Hayes nodded. "Yes. But we won't." Velrith frowned. "Why?" The human admiral answered calmly. "Because we don't want conquest." He gestured toward the battlefield. "We just want to be left alone." Velrith stared at the human commander. For the first time he truly understood humanity. They were not conquerors. They were something far more dangerous. A species that fought only when forced, but fought very well when it did. Velrith finally lowered his crest. "I will inform the coalition that humanity will not be attacked again." Hayes nodded. "That would be wise." The transmission ended. Days later, the Galactic Coalition officially recognized humanity as an independent power. Trade agreements were signed. Diplomatic relations were established. But across the galaxy, one message quietly spread among military leaders. A warning. Whenever someone suggested challenging humanity, someone else would always repeat the same sentence. A sentence first spoken during the battle. "Commander." A nervous officer would look at the tactical reports. The humans are responding. And every experienced commander knew exactly what came next. They would shake their heads slowly and say the only thing that truly mattered. "This won't end well, Rocket."